Alright engineers, this one's for you. If you're anything like me, I thought I could kind of draw, even though I'm an engineer. I just thought that if I want to draw a cube, I'd just draw 4 straight lines, another set of parallel lines for the sides, tops and bottoms, make sure everything's all nice and parallel. Then you go and connect the corners, that's a cube, right? If you wanted to turn the cube a little bit, it looks something like this. Once again, all the edges are parallel, got a nice little cube there. Now you're thinking you could probably draw a car, because after all, a car is really just a rectangular shape, like a shoebox, like what you see here. Slap on 4 wheels and maybe a pyramid on top for the cabin where the people sit, and that's a car, right? So you pretty much go to town and you try to plot out the wheels, draw your center lines, maybe split this face in half with this blue line, maybe draw another vertical line, horizontal line to kind of plot out where your hood line is, and you maybe give up or maybe you don't. But it doesn't look quite like what you had in your mind, right? So if you were a machine and you got all the way to the end using this process, your car might look something like this. And that's not exactly what we like to see in terms of sketching. It's not very emotive, it looks kind of flat. It looks a little wonky, as we used to say in art school. And that's because everything is parallel projected. All the lines are parallel to each other. So if I were to overlay our box onto it, turn off these other 2 layers, you can see that it's pretty much a perfect box as we engineers would probably deem it to be. All the edges are once again parallel, but then it looks really weird. So what we've done is we've turned this beautiful McLaren Sabre into this monstrosity right here. So really this is where you've gone wrong. Pay close attention to this. The box that you've drawn here is parallel projected or isometric, meaning that all the edges are parallel to each other and they don't ever meet in a certain point of space called the vanishing point. There is no vanishing point here. So instead, we need to start learning how to draw boxes with edges that converge. 2-point perspective is usually what we use. So you want to have these edges starting to converge this way, as well as these 2 edges that start going into a point in space. 2 points in space will eventually have these rays meet. And then the top edge is also going to converge to their own point. So it's going to be more like this. This is going to be your box. Like so. Okay. So that's really the building block of the car sketching process. So with all that in mind, we're going to bring out the McLaren Sabre image again. This time a little bit smaller, put that in the corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out kind of the front end and the rear end of the car, like I typically like to do here. Here in the front and the side ground lines, so that you make sure that your car is going to fit on the page. Otherwise, the car might grow and you're going to be off the edge without even knowing it. Maybe a center line, the front wheel, rear wheel that way, a line that connects the centers, and then we go and lay in the front wheel. Just kind of eyeballing the wheelbase. From here, we're able to go to town here. Top edge of the front fender, top edge of the rear fender, just to lay it out a little bit. Bring that down. Got a large intake here that comes down. And then also the rear end of the front fender has this scoop where this outlet comes and goes into this fin right before it hits the rear wheel. There you go. Front end of the front fender comes down this way. If you were to look at the edge of this hood line, it would be a little bit higher than midpoint of this wheel. So we're going to throw that in there. This way. And then we're going to lay in kind of the height of this greenhouse here. Of course, So rear wing comes out a little bit this way and goes into the picture, vanishes away from us. Okay, I'm going to do the A-pillar next. A-pillar typically likes to line up with the center of the wheel, so something along here, just to kind of draft it in there. And then there's also this character line here that comes into this intake. Have this element here that does that. And then you go and project this out towards the far end of the vehicle. This way. Center line the vehicle this way. And then the far edge of the greenhouse this way. So that's basically the outline of the vehicle, and the rest become the details. Carried down the center line of this, hood line, the eyes of the car, the headlamps, come about this way. Front main intake for the radiators, this way. There you go. This is basically the bones of the car that you've already laid in. The rest you can fine tune and work from there. This is the basics of perspective sketching in front three-quarter view. And it all starts with a rectangular box in perspective, not parallel projection. Okay, so we're gonna throw the patent image up again next to it. And one looks more like a design sketch, whereas the other one goes to the patent office for people to rubber stamp. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.